Hello and welcome to Get Celebritized, where we help you learn how to earn more so you can live more, a bigger, most wonderful life, so you can give back more to the causes and people and charities that mean the most to you. My name's Aurea McGarry, and I am here to introduce you to some amazing people that are living their life on purpose. They are actively living their best legacy, and they come here to show you how you can too. They also share with us sometimes some secrets to what could have stopped them and how they didn't let that derail their purpose, their goals, their little girl and little boy dreams. And they're well on their way to big things, big purposeful lives. And they're going to show you how they did it and how you can as well. And today is no exception, because today I have the phenomenal, the extraordinary Todd Saylor. And Todd Saylor is an American coach. He's a top multi-author of several books. You'll hear about them in a moment. He's a purposeful speaker, which I love. He is on purpose. He's the podcaster of Wired Differently Experience, and he's the author of Wired Differently. Welcome to the show, Todd Saylor. Come on up.
Great job. Wow. It's like the pressure. I feel the pressure of that. You did a brilliant job. Thank you very much. It's just a privilege to be here. Let's what do I say? I said, let's let it rip, potato chip. It's all like Donkey Kong. Aurea and I are going to let it go. So
I love it. Let it rip, potato chip. I got to use that one. Let's do it. Well, Todd, I was diving deep into your website, toddsaylor.com. Let me just go ahead and put that up here right now, because my community really need to know you. You are a breath of fresh air. You have so much energy and so much passion and purpose for life. But I want to start right out with something I saw on your website before we get into the Wired Differently and some retreats you have coming up and how you really help people live an extraordinary life. I saw on your website, what intrigued me right off the bat was you say you will find any active business $100,000 in their business in 45 minutes or less. Right. Tell us, what the heck is that?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm so proud of you of the research you've done for me, all the accomplishments, and obviously the things behind you are just amazing. So I'm going to tell you right out of the back, I'm glad you picked that up. I mean, because I've had, I would tell you, I probably had 6 podcasts in the last 30, 40 days. And
you're busy.
You have been very, very research wise. So I would tell you that I can do that. Yeah. It's part of my coaching program, Todd Saylor, the Wire Differently Academy. And it's an amazing process that we go through for the coaching and teaching and bringing people through this entrepreneurial mindset. Like I know I can make and teach people how to make money. But at the end of the day, I got to be more purposeful in that regard when it comes to my responsibility, my fiduciary rights, and obviously helping people keep the money after they make it. And so when we go into the whole process, we want to teach them the mindset. We want to teach them the responsibility of all those things. And so when I take people into this idea, after we get them to the hook of $100,000, we teach them the fundamentals of how to have the right mindset to keep it. But I'm going to tell you how the secret sauce. I'm going to save you $100,000 or find you $100,000 in an existing business. And it's through a system called aggregation of marginal gain. I have a 12 jump step start process where I take any company through an analysis for the first 45 minutes, and I ask a series of questions. I take them through this process of how to answer the questions, how to understand where they are, and then I take them to the bottom of the analysis, and at the end of the analysis, I show them exactly what I can do for them for the most part if they follow through these rules. So I take them through, how much can I help you win in this jumpstart market dominating brand position? How much can I help you in digital marketing? And we take their real information and we put a percentage to that. And most of the times people are going to say, well, I can do better here. I can do better here. I'm saying, no, let's not get carried away. But when we're done, we do what's called aggregating marginal gains. And what we do is basically teach people how to eat an elephant. Come on, you're supposed to laugh.
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. But you got to start at the toes, the damn toes. Get down there and you got to look at it. So if we can just take a piece of a piece of a piece of a piece, and we can just take a small piece, make it better, a small piece, make it better, small piece, make it better. And I can help people see where they can make these marginal gains in multiple positions and then aggregate them, then the light bulb goes on. And now I have a roadmap I print out for them before they even come on board. Not a penny has been spent.
You
And
do
now
this free.
what's that?
You do that free?
I do the whole analysis. I can do it for free. I would, anybody on your show, I will do it for free.
Look
If
at
they
that.
want
Saylor.com.
If they want an assessment,
Oh, wow.
you know, Aurea says this, we'll do an assessment for free and we'll show you. You'll have a full roadmap. I'll print it to you. I'll send it to you. My people do it. And we'll just say, okay, now if you want to attain this amount of level of success, this is how we're going to do it. And we're going to take you through it. And now we're going to hold your hand, help you make your whole bit accountable for it. And then on the way, it just so happens that, you know, I've had success. I'm 58 years old. I know I'm getting older, but I've been doing this for a long time.
You know, that brings
and I want you to, I got it. I called it before you said it. Aurea, I've been doing this a while and I know that I can back up and my team can back it up. And I really feel confident in that regard. So that is kind of the hook and that's how we do it.
Oh, that's exciting. So I hope everybody chimes into that. I know business owners, so many entrepreneurs, like all of us, I even speak to myself, we've got great ideas and big ideas, but we really, not all of us are experienced in making it come to fruition, that business part of it, to scale it, to do all the processing you need to scale a business and not be a solopreneur, but actually be a CEO of a company. So I'm always a big supporter of coaches and people taking you to the next level and scaling. So this is great. I hope everybody would take advantage of that has a business.
Aurea, let me just say one thing because I know we're going to probably move off this and I know, but
go ahead.
Out of all the coaches that, you know, I've dealt with in America and what we're doing around here is the thing about my coaching is you don't show up in the Wired Differently Academy and just get diagnosed by a coach and you tell me your problems. I'm not a counselor. I'm a coach.
Okay.
And we have a curriculum, a phenomenal software, a phenomenal curriculum. There's no shortage of curriculum. There's no shortage of time spent. You have an exact day, an exact call. You have homework. And if you're not serious about it, don't get on our coaching, right? But I want you to understand, anybody out here is thinking about coaching, this entrepreneurial mindset, and wants to learn how to actually do the $100,000 or more. Anyone wants to grow their company. Let me get this commercial in there right now. It will happen. It will happen. You hire us, it will happen. And we're going to show you how to make it happen. And it's going to be done through a software and a curriculum that is real. You're paying for something, an academy and a library that you're going to be able to keep forever. So I just want I want people to understand that. It's a beautiful product.
I love that. Is it guaranteed?
I'll guarantee it for anybody on this show. Yes, it's guaranteed. I have a qualified guarantee. You'll get your money back if you don't get what you out of it. If you do the homework, you know, they
have to do their part too. And that's the thing with coaching. So many people, you know, they just want the whole pie, but they forget they've got to show up. And it's not, I always like to say it's simple. It's not easy because simple means you've laid out a process that if you follow it, you will be successful. You know, I used to do direct sales and I did Mary Kay. You can win a pink Cadillac. Only 1% do. And I did because I followed the system and I took action. And it's not easy to take action when your kids are sick, when things happen, you got to still show up. 99% of people won't. Those 1% will. But that Cadillac is there to win for all. But very few actually continue on and do that. So that's what it is with coaching, showing up, doing the work, and being able to take action. Because if it was easy, that's different. That means it's not hard. It does get hard to be an entrepreneur, any kind of success. But you can do it if you just work through that. Because no matter what you do, it's going to be hard. Working for somebody else is hard. Showing up 9 to 5 is hard. And the rewards are not as great as being your own boss. Right. So, all right. Now, on that, I'm so glad you said that. We're going to revisit this a little bit later as well. But you've got some events coming up. But let's talk about, you said you've experienced some success in your life. Well, the viewers and listeners may not know who the heck is Todd Saylor. Right. Talk to us a little bit about your success journey, because I know it started very young and your family had a donut business. Right. So let's talk about what's made you the success you are at this point.
Yeah. So I've wrote 3 books right now. I wrote 7 actually, but 3 in the series of Wired Differently. So the first book is Wired Differently. And you got some of these books coming, so I'm excited for you to see them. So this is the first book, Wired Differently. This is what is Wired Differently. And then the second book I wrote was Drift Again. There's your island, Anna Marie Island. You
I
know
can't
that
wait.
island. That's right out in front of my house. We got that picture taken.
I love it. No, wait, hold that up again. Hold that up again. I love the tagline, 8 traits of a supremely purposeful people. So that's, I love when you say different, like you have a list of things you can go over.
Right. So 7 of these traits are amazing and supremely purposeful people have them. One of these traits is bad and supremely purposeful people have it. And you got to know what that is, or you're never going to get to the 7 good ones.
Okay.
And then the third book in the series is How to Become Wired Differently. We had What is Wired, then we had Why We're Wired, and now this is my third book. I'm so excited about it, and I just got them yesterday, so I'll get one out to you too, Aurea. Yeah, it's such a thrill. This book hurt me to write. It was almost physical. It was like playing football again. It was just one of those things, but I'm grateful. And this is how to become wired differently. So what's the biggest tip out of that? You said it was painful. What was one thing that you came out of it that really helped make that painful? The most dominant thing was when I was pretty much done with it, I took it to some pastors, and not one pastor could agree on how they saw it, you know. And I'm an extremely spiritual person, and this book is built on Matthew 6:9, and your will be done. And our will be done. And the book is about triangulating the 2 wills in our life, our will, our free will, and God's will. And so it was just discouraging. They loved it, didn't have any problem with it. But, you know, the pastors sometimes don't want to be pastored, right? And I was looking for some help.
Interesting. Wow.
And the motivating, pardon me?
I can't wait to get it.
Yeah, the motivational speaker in me, they don't want, so the motivational people don't want to talk about God's will, and then the God's will people don't want to talk about free will. And so I've got 2 sides. Oh, no. It's a brilliant book because it pulls us together in that regards, and it's just beautiful. So that was difficult. And so I rewrote quite a bit of content.
Okay.
And I really feel God led me to an amazing book.
And I think that's great. I can't wait to get it because I know how I'm always praying for God's perfect will in my life. And we do have our free will. I'm always afraid to make mistakes, but we learn from our mistakes. And I think we need to listen as much as we talk to God. So really just kind of listen, because I know you've probably got so many great ideas and you just knew, or God, you knew you heard him spoke that this is something you need to do. And if we walk through that, what's the worst thing that's going to happen is my guess. You know, when God told me to start my television show, it's like, okay, didn't know how. I'd been an actress. I'd never been a TV producer, done it on my own. But what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And so many great things happened because I was obedient and listened. Even though I was afraid, didn't know what the heck he was going to do with me. Like, is this really God? But I really walked through that. And you don't know God's perfect will until you start walking through it. So tell us again, what makes you successful? I want to hear more about that.
All right. So I own 14 companies currently. We've built as many as 50 over our lifetime.
Wow.
I am still in the arena. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a heart of an entrepreneur. I want people to be successful. My largest company is Payserve Systems Incorporated. We're the nation's largest UKG ready software provider for 1,000 employees in the country, which is a human capital management system, an HCM. That's a 2003 model. I love that company. It's been brilliant. It's been amazing for me. I own 13 other organizations. I also own the donut capital of the world, which I think people have a lot of fun with. I write about it in this book right here.
What is the donut capital of the world?
So the donut capital of the world is Tom's Donuts, the donut capital of the world. I got to give him a shout out. So it's an interesting thing. It's been there 53 years. I grew up, my trade is a donut maker. I'm not ashamed. I was an All-American football player, and I was also the world's greatest donut maker. My dad has groomed me into probably the perfect weapon, if you asked him, because I can make donuts and I could catch footballs like nobody's business. But
that's an interesting 2 skills to have, you know.
I've never said it on any podcast, and you just bring it out of me, Aurea. So thank you so much for that.
I love that. Where's the donut shop? Where was this? Or where is it?
If you Google the donut capital of the world, it'll pop up Angola, Indiana, Lake James, Indiana.
Okay.
Last season in May, we broke the world's record, Guinness Book of World Record, and we sold 8,558 donuts in less than 8 hours to crush the record.
Wow.
I had been, it's like this whole thing, Your Will Be Done, is about getting things you want in your life. And I'm trying to bring everything together so the listener can be an organized from what we're talking about here, but it really makes sense, because one of the things this book talks about is getting the things that you want in your life, right? And your subconscious is this super driver of all these things. And this, I've heard your conversation, I've heard you speak, so you're with me on this. But if we're not putting the things in our subconscious that we want in life, things are going to come out of our life that we don't want in life. I tell the story on the stage. I'm like, I like Mike Nadell's a friendly of mine, and I've done a video with him and this or that. But I often make fun of him, is because when you kind of lose track of what your subconscious is about, things happen in your life. And one day I lost track of my subconscious, and I ended up waking up and there was 1,000 pillows, some sheets, and some towels and some slippers. And I had no idea, because he had taken over my mind, right? So the point of the matter is, he thinks it's funny too. But the point of the matter is this, is that your will be done. We want to pray to God for God's will to be done first and foremost, but he has also given us this free will. And one of my free will objectives was to make Tom's Donuts the donut capital of the world. It was ready to close down 5 years ago. Everything was lost after 50 some years. My father's got dementia, and they couldn't keep things going. It was really a sad, sad thing, but we just didn't want to let it go. So we revived it, rebranded it. And I started telling people, this tradition here is amazing, and it's going to be the donut capital of the world. It's already the donut capital of the world. And so I started telling the community, I bought a truck and I put a donut capital in the world on the side. I bought a property across the street. I put a massive $15,000 sign that said donut capital of the world. If you go there, you can see it on the website. Or not, if you search donut capital of the world. And then finally, after saying it enough and teaching the community and imprinting it into them, I broke the world record, said I was the donut capital of the world. Guinness put it on as the donut capital of the world. And now we are legitimately the donut capital of the world. My will, God's will, your will be done. That's how we triangulate that little story.
Oh my gosh. Speak about it, bring about it. Yeah. That is like a perfect example.
And we did it. Google the donut capital of the world. Prove me wrong, I dare you.
You know what I love about that? So many things about that. I love that you wanted it bad enough to start speaking about it, which made it come to fruition, because you have not, because you asked not. And then you started talking about it, which brought it into real life. But another thing that came through my mind when you were talking about this is, at first, I've never heard of Tom's Donuts, but there is other donuts that are hugely popular that we've all heard of. But you don't have to be the most well-known to be the best. You are, the donut capital of the world. You did break the world record, but are you the household name? No, there's another company. It's a household name. So I want people that are in business to know you don't have to be that one that, like McDonald's. Everybody knows McDonald's. You can have your piece of the pie. Start bringing it about, even if you're not the household name yet. You've done all this, and just because we didn't know about it didn't make it not happen. And you didn't think, well, I could never compete with such and such or so and so. They're already so huge. They're already a household name. How can I compete with that? And you just did. Talk to us a little bit about how you just did, even though you knew there was other better known donuts in the world.
You're really good at this, especially unscripted. I got to give you, but I mean, it speaks for itself. I'm wired differently, right? Mm-hmm. And whenever I coach anybody in entrepreneurial world, I'm not Grant Cardone. I'm not. I'm never going to be Grant Cardone. Matter of fact, if I almost think about taking out the domain name, I'm not Grant Cardone. Here's the thing. I'm wired differently in that regards, is that I coach people to find a niche. I don't think that the market is where everybody's at. I mean, Salmon Inc. should be another company I own, because we're always swimming upstream. We want to separate ourselves from the pack. I mean, nobody was shaving their head until I started doing it.
You started the trend. See, nobody knew that.
So even PayServe Systems is a small organization in the grand scheme of the payroll processing world, but we're knocking heads with them. ADP, Paylocity, Paycom, we're knocking heads with them every day, and they know who we are. They do not want to see us, because we're not out there to be recognized as the biggest or the most well-known in the world. We're out there to become the best, and to have our mindset, our mission, our ministry, and our movement all pointing in the right direction that's in our systems. It's listen, I want you to know, Aurea, we will always fail the goals, but we will always rise to systems. Think about that for a moment.
Ooh,
We'll
that's
always
good.
fail the goal. Look, the Super Bowl is only won by 1 out of 32, 34 teams, right? 33 of them failed to the goal. But if they're smart, there's 34 teams always working on systems. I can coach people on systems. I can coach people on aggregation of marginal gains. I can coach you on becoming special in your niche. I can coach you on being special. I can make you the damn donut capital of the world. I'm telling you. Yeah. And I'm telling you, we did it with the payroll industry. I own 3 staffing organizations. You never heard of my staffing companies either. You Matter Staffing. But you know what? You do matter. And we're the best in the industry where we are at what we do. And the other 12 companies are just the same.
Bringing up
We're
the
wired
football.
differently.
You are wired differently, but we're, like you said, we're all wired differently. God didn't make any of us identical. Not even an identical twin is the same person. We're all wired differently. And I love that everybody comes to the table with their own uniqueness. And that's so important that you help bring that out in people. What is one of the best lessons you learned being the captain of a football team, being in that football world? Because I love sports. I was a figure skater for many years with Dorothy Hamill when I was a child. And I love sports. My daughters did sports from equestrian to volleyball, everything. I love what we learn from sports. It's just phenomenal. So what is one of your best takeaways into business, into success that you learn from being involved as a captain of football?
Yeah. So I would tell you a little bit on me in football. I was an All-American at Manchester University. But more important, I'd like to tell you about my father. My father's name is Tom Saylor. And if you go to thetigerinus.com, thetigerinus.com, you'll see a movie I'm making about my father. He was my football coach, my mentor. He's just an amazing man. And it's going to be a major motion picture. It's going to happen. And I really believe Justin Timberlake is going to play my father. I believe it. But I would tell you what he taught me and what the game taught me is to build people. And so my father taught me that I should play one sport that was an individual sport. And he said, I need you to play football as a team sport. Football was my favorite sport. It was my best sport, but I did wrestle and I did pole vault. And I think this idea of being a wrestler gives you this concept of blaming nobody but yourself. You win or lose on the mat, but you need to round yourself off with football from this regards because it's a team sport. And so let's talk about a team sport. What does a team sport do for you? Well, a team sport really allowed me to score a lot of touchdowns and have some glory and do all those things. But really, at the end of the day, it was the huddle that I loved the most. It was the huddle that brought the team together, the huddle of the men putting together a project or a mission or a plan to execute every play. Think about that. Every play was a project. Every play was a plan, and then we had to execute it over and over and over again. And that takes me into what exactly I talk about in this book again is I want people to become successionaires, right? A successionaire is not a billionaire. I've trademarked the word. I'm telling you, this is what it's about. If you want to be a billionaire, become a successionaire, because if you're a successionaire, your plan is to be a billionaire, and we'll do it. Successionaire is just somebody that literally, my wife put together the best keto dinner. Last night, it was our 35-year anniversary. Man, we've been married 35 years. Who could stand somebody like me for 35 years? Everybody say prayers for my beautiful wife, Tracy Saylor, but she put the best. It took her all day to do it. And I'm just telling you, that's just as important as going to the damn Mars like Elon Musk.
Uh-huh.
A plan is a plan is a plan. A successionaire creates a plan, fulfills it and executes it, and does it over and over again. So the thing I learned the most from my father is to build people. And in this movie, The Tiger in Us, the thing I learned the most about football is to build a team and to build other players up around you. And those are the systems I've lived my life by. And The Tiger in Us tells the story about my father building football players, building men, not only to win the longest win streak record in the history of the world, most successful coach to ever coach high school from 1967 to 1976, never lost a football game in until 1976. But what was happening is he was winning these games with a little rural farm community people thought he was coaching football, but he wasn't. At the end of each season, he was sending these men off to Vietnam.
Wow.
It's an amazing,
Ah,
beautiful story.
can't
He
wait.
was building men, not football players. And at 12, when I saw this happen and he explained that to me on the very football field that I thought he was a football coach, he calmly regards me and says, son, I'm not a football coach. I'm a builder of men. These boys aren't going to the arm. They aren't going to the farm. They aren't going to the manufacturing plant. They aren't even going to college. They're going to Vietnam, son.
Wow, I just got goosebumps. You know, every entrepreneur and every business owner can take that to heart, that you're not just doing what you think you're doing. You have a bigger purpose. I love that you're the purpose-filled coach and speaker, because there's something bigger. You know, when you know what that is, what your bigger purpose is, your legacy, you're not selling your products, you're not selling your books, you're not, like you said, a football coach, you're doing something bigger. Right. And when you have your mind wrapped around that in the heart, right, you're unstoppable, and you have such a bigger vision. You do things with a bigger vision. Right. And I love that team, TEAM, spells together, everyone achieves more. And that reminds me of what your dad was doing, Very good. As a team, when the tide rises, all the boats rise, things like that. Yeah. But I did a really funny thing just a moment ago, and you'll get a kick out of this. When you said the tiger in us, I'm multitasking and I'm going to put up the tiger within us. And from habit, subconsciously, I put up the Tigger in us. I had 2 G's in there, double Gur, because Tigger is such a part of my life because of that bounce back ability. And when I was 38 on my birthday and I got cancer, I was in Mary Kay at the time, and my director gave me this Tigger. And she goes, you're going to bounce back in no time. And I've always been a Tigger, not an Eeyore. I've always loved Disney, always loved that. I've always been the Tigger. I always find the good in everything. I lift everybody up. I'm bouncing everywhere. And so Tigger at that moment became very meaningful to me. And it's that bounce back ability. And so it just was funny when subconsciously I just put up the Tigger in us. And it's like, yeah, you got to have that bounce back ability. So it wasn't just a typo. It was for somebody watching to know that you've got to bounce back, because life will hit you. We all went through the pandemic. We're all bouncing back in some way, shape, or form. Nobody came out unscathed from the pandemic in one way or another. So we've got to have that bounce back ability. So TI double GER today with that. And we need a team. Because when I'm down, I need somebody that's up. And when you're down, you need somebody that's up. I don't think we can go through this life alone. We need all sorts of mentors and coaches and people, which brings me so beautifully, Todd, to this. You're having a retreat, and I have just been feeling really passionate about potentially doing some retreats or being part of them. And I want to start looking, where do I go? Because we can't do this life alone. And retreats bring people together, and we've all been together online. We're all doing all this social media and podcasting, but being human to human again. Talk to us about why you're doing these retreats and what they are and where they are, because I think it's so important that people start coming back together in person and building each other up. It's not all just about dollars and cents. It's about building that whole human person, mind, body, soul, and spirit together up.
Yeah. So I'm glad you're letting me talk about this. November 8th through November 11th, we're having our second Tiki Hut retreat, and it's super exciting. It's at the Zoda Resort on Longboat Key. And it was just the idea.
Florida, for anybody who doesn't know, Florida.
Florida, and it's still the right season to have this happen. You're going to have it's actually, it's called the Tiki Hut Retreat because I have a beautiful 8,000 square foot home on an acre. I know I hate to say this out loud, but on an acre on the ocean right here. And I'm looking at it right now.
You had me a Tiki Hut.
I know. And I have this massive
in November.
I have my massive Tiki Hut at my house. And so I started doing trainings out of my Tiki Hut, and it's right next to my yacht. And I'm like, man, who wouldn't want to come here? I love it so much. I've got to share this, right? And so that's how the Tiki Hut retreat was born. And so now we've moved it from IMG Academy to the Zoda Resort, which has a Tiki Hut there symbolically. But the Tiki Hut you're going to be having probably the most fun is at my house when we have dinner here and we're on a yacht and we're carrying on like just the wire differently people that we are. But we're going to be at the Zoda. We're going to go to Egmont Key for a leadership scavenger hunt, where if you don't know about Egmont Key, it's an amazing national park island that you can't obviously drive to. You can't barely boat to it because there's no docks to park on. but we have a way to get over there. We anchor and we have a home base set up, and then we go out and we find leadership things on this island, from tortoises to old Civil War museums and certain things and artifacts we find out there. It's phenomenal. So why did we do it?
That's what I'm saying.
Because you're exactly right. People need to get back together, and we need to have community. And I think God is blessing my organization. Wired Differently is the gospel. There's 3 stages to being wired differently. There's the creation phase. Like you said, we're all born wired differently. There's the second phase, which I coach on how to activate. Actualize is the second phase. Actualize your brain to make things happen from your subconscious that you want. When we learn how to command the things that we want in life, our entire world changes, our business world changes, our love lives change, our relationships change. I mean, I am called to help build you personally. I'm called to help build you spiritually. And I'm called to help build you profitably, right? And so we got to be together to do that. I'm on Todd Saylor Facebook every morning. Todd Saylor Wired Differently from 7:30 to 8. I go live. I have content, fresh content every morning. I've been doing it for over a year, and you're going to be shocked on how actually interesting it really is. So get there if you want to see that. The retreat is to get you there, Aurea.
Yes. Yes, that's what I've been, and I love it because it's so like my stomping grounds, because I love Florida. I've been there. I was in St. Pete for 20 years. And when you said Egmont Key, it's like, yes, I know this place.
Listen, Aurea, let me give you one more plug. So get this. You're going to get 3 nights, 4 days, and I've got the rooms there, oceanfront rooms, side rooms, however you want. But the basic room is only $175 a night at Zoda Resort. It's like, it's amazing. We got pretty much the whole hotel to ourselves. We're gonna have at least 50 people there.
I was say, will you sell out? You'll sell out at 50?
We'll sell out.
It'll be intimate. Okay, so it'll be intimate. Won't be more than 50.
Yeah.
That's great. And when you're saying this, tattoo, I really want to emphasize that you become like the people you hang around with most. And you're talking tiki huts and yachts and things like that. I want people to hear this, that I always tell my clients, take advice from people who are where you want to be. And if you want to be more profitable, you want to be able to scale your business, and you're not there yet, then you want to hang with people that are there. And not only are you there prosperity wise, you've got the full package. You've got God first, family second, and career third. But in those, you're very successful in all 3 in this balanced ways. Is your life perfect? Of course not. We all have ups and downs. But why wouldn't we want to learn from you, who has God's blessing prosperity wise, so you can turn around and help others? And here you are freely doing that assessment. So you're taking God's gift to you. You've taken action. You become hugely profitable, and you're helping the community of entrepreneurships and business owners do the same if they'll tap into you. Why wouldn't we want to hang out with you when you're that next step up where most entrepreneurs and solopreneurs want to be? You're going to gain so much insight, and just to be able to rub elbows with you for a couple of days would help any entrepreneur get insight that you wouldn't just get by watching you on Facebook or reading your book. So I've always told my community, get in the room with people who you admire, who are smarter than you, who are where you want to be in that category. And so this is so exciting because you're allowing so many people to get into your space, and there's people you want to be in their space as well. So it's such a great full circle moment, and you're so humble and you're so godly, as far as you know that all this comes from God, and he is no respecter person, and everything belongs to him anyway. So why can't we dream big, pray big, and expect our legacy and our miracles in our life?
And that's why I gladly selected to be on your show, because you're all those things. I'm so grateful. It's just been a privilege to share so much with. I could go on all day if you take me. That's for sure.
You have a little more time. Pour into us a little bit more. We've got a little bit more time for you to pour into. What would you most want them to know?
Well, I think that I want people to understand about the mindset, the mission, the movement, and the ministry wired differently. And I think it's important that people understand that there are people out there like me that are willing to go out and coach and willing to go do things without making money first. Now, there's no question that at some point, this coaching syndication that I'm building, the Wire Differently Academy, the Wire Differently coaching syndication, will be profitable. But really, at the end of the day, my organization that I've built of 14 organizations is running, it's doing great, and I love what it's doing. But I think that some of us really need to realize that we have to be willing to change who we are to become who we want to be.
Mm.
I think we really, really need to dig in sometimes, because if not, we live in a place which we call land of quo. Now, land of quo is a place I talk about in my first book, Wired Differently. And this idea of not inadvertently living in a place of aboriginality. The land of quo is a place, a dastardly place. It's a place where we just kind of figure out that all the status quos in our life are added together, Aurea. And then we all of a sudden we wake up and it's a whole land or a world or a bubble we live in. And the problem with the land of quo is that there's no such thing as actually being the same all the time. You're either getting better or you're not getting better. And if you're in the land of quo, you're kind of dissipating like an Alka-Seltzer tablet when you drop it in a glass of water and it just sizzles. So I want to challenge people not to be in the land of quo. I want to challenge people to really grow, become aware of maybe becoming who they want to be by leaving exactly where they are. And that's how the beginning of Wired Differently started in that regard, is I wanted to really challenge people. Then I took it a step further because a lot of people resonated that with. Matter of fact, I had several people quit their jobs, and some of them actually moved to Florida, and then they asked me for a job when they got here. But
they're living in your tiki hut. Wait a minute.
They're out there in the tiki hut. But no, actually, I told the story this morning, is one man, he literally quit his job and he started all over. He moved to Florida. And he said, could I have a job? And I'm like, well, I got you in here. So I gave him a salary, a $50,000 salary. I said, you go here and let's try it and let's see if we can make something out of it. And he worked for me like for 2 weeks, and it was just, he was a brilliant man. I felt very empowered, and I felt part of what had happened in his life. And so he's there for 2 weeks, and he came up to me really humbly and he says, listen, Todd, I really appreciate the land of quo, and I've left it and everything's worked out. And I'm here in Florida. My pension's not enough and you're helping me, but listen, I don't want to let you down, but I had another job offer. I'm like, okay, great. I'm like inside. I'm like, okay, because I'm not really sure he says, would it offend you if I pursued this other job? I said, listen, I'll recommend you, I'll help you. And if it doesn't work out, come back and we'll figure something out. And all along I'm thinking, man, God, how do you get me in these things? I just wrote a book, right? I just wrote a book. And so the book does this, and he's there, and he goes out to this other job, and he's working in the job. He's doing this whole thing. Turns out he's great at the job. He becomes the HR guy of 1,000 employees or more in this company, ascends to the number one spot in less than 12 months, calls me. He says, hey, we got a problem in payroll. That's what the big company I had that I put him in. And he says, can you send your people over and help me? Because we're confused. This software company, this massive big company, I won't say their name, is screwing everything up. I said, don't worry, I'll send them over. So I send my team over. They fix everything. They come back in 3 days. He said, that was a good guy. I said, I know he's a good guy. He's wired differently. About 4 months later, he calls me back. He says, Todd, thanks for helping me leave my land of quo. Thanks for helping me move to Florida. Thanks for giving me a job and not really understanding it. And then thanks for letting me leave to go to this job. Now I'm the number one guy. And thanks for helping me make all this money. And thanks for fixing all my payroll. And by the way, would you please take over all of the payroll and HR of this company of over 1,000 employees?
Wow.
By the way, it's going to be about $150,000 a year in revenue.
Wow.
And so, I think that the lesson I had in that was that I didn't even see it coming. It's joy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You were purposeful. You were doing it with the right purpose. You didn't want anything from him. You were doing to help him. And then God turned around and blessed you. And I love stories like that. Yeah. You had no idea that was ever going to be something that would turn around to benefit you in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. You were helping him. And then look what God did.
It's God's no look pass, and cool. I think that God is just, he can't wait. He just can't wait to do that. He's like, just trust me. Just trust me. Just trust me.
Yeah. He says,
you're going to love this one. You're going to love,
I know. He can't help you,
God. He's just can't wait to have those blessings, those signs, wonders, and miracles happen in your lives. And he's just constantly have done that for me in my life. And these people that are in Wired Differently, they're experiencing the difference between riches and joy. You're experiencing the difference between happiness and joy and riches and wealth. Riches are things that we get every day, and and wealth is something that compounds, right? And happiness is circumstantial, but joy is something that just happens that God gives us. And so that is an example of where my riches may have helped me, but joy delivered the wealth and God delivered the wealth and the joy of something happening that I just didn't think of. It just happened. I didn't earn that $150,000 client. God delivered it to me, right? That's joy. And that's how wealth works. And that's
Yeah.
why it's so perfect to work profits into your life and your spiritual life, because wealth just happens in your investments, right? Joy just happens in your investments in God. So there's a little bit for you to think about.
Yeah, but also on that too, Todd, you were set up to be able to receive that blessing. You weren't just sitting on your couch eating bonbons and had not a business developed, scaled properly for God to bless. Because I always think of being in the right place, the right time, with the right preparation. So God can at any time bless you with business because you are in business and you have it set up. So I think that's a really important point to make, is so many people, they don't know how to even get in the business or scale the business. So God wants to bless them, but there's no funnel for them to be blessed in that without somebody just handing them something, giving them a donation of some sort, or blessing them with a job of some sort. So I love that you were set up and ready. That was a perfect fit because you had that agency that could take over that. He could have offered that to me and I couldn't have taken it. I don't have that business structure in my life.
Right.
So,
well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody needs to have their business. So I'm going to go right back to the beginning. I think anyone that's listening to this and watching this needs to take you up on that assessment, because if you're not ready for success, if you don't have a way for people to buy from you today, be able to run that credit card, what I train my clients, having that income producing activity that people can say, yes, I need your service or product today, and they can actually purchase it, then you're doing all the marketing and all the legwork for nothing, because they can't buy into you. You're not structured yet. So I hope everybody will tap into you, toddsaylor.com. Get that. You've offered a free assessment to find out how you can help them find $100,000 in their business if it's an active business. Give us a few more tips on that before we kind of close out. And I hope they go to your Facebook. Is that link on your toddsaylor.com so they can log into your Facebook every morning to chime into you?
I don't think it is, but I'll make sure it gets there quick.
Okay, wonderful. When I post this, I think
the link's on there. You click the little Facebook thing,
the little
right?
Facebook icon. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, they got that.
So give us some closing words about their business and scaling so they can earn more and live more, so they have that excess to give back more.
Yeah, I think we had a little fun with I'm Not Grant Cardone, and I want people to understand that I think the most important thing about building a business is that you find something that you can actually be successful in. It doesn't always have to be what you're passionate about. Some people are that way. I was not. I built my first company out of something I wasn't passionate about, but I became passionate about making money and making the business work.
And making donuts.
Yeah, and making donuts. I'm the best damn donut maker you'll ever find, and I'm proud to.
You better make us donuts at the Tiki Hut. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna figure a way out. If you come to my Tiki Hut, there's gonna be extra special surprises for sure.
Yay!
But I think it's just important that we understand our calling, and I think it's important that when it comes to building businesses, that we have a system, right? And that we realize that we can do these things. We understand that we can only rise, one, to the level of our greatest weakness, and two, we're going to always fail to goals, but rise to systems. So when we think about rising, we're rising to systems, and we're only rising to our greatest weakness. And so when I talk to somebody right from jump, I really want them to understand that, what does that mean? You can only rise to the level of your greatest weakness. That basically means you can only rise to the level of what you're worst at. And I was not good at operations, and I realized I was great at sales. I was great at vision, and I had great products, but I always got stuck at pulling it through or operationally making it work. But I also know that there's some people that are amazing at operations, but they never can get past operations, and they can never fulfill, obviously, the ideas or the products that need to be delivered. It's like this restaurant guy I knew once. He was the greatest chef to ever walk the planet. His cuisines was magnificent. If you could only have had his cuisine. So he opened up a restaurant. He was so good at cooking the food. He opened up the restaurant. He had the best food there, but he forgot to mow the yard, trim the sign, and turn the lights on and put the open sign on. Nobody ever got the food because he was so bad at operations. The other guy, he was amazing at putting the sign up. He was amazing at digital marketing. He listened to everything I ever told him. but he sucked at cooking food. So at the end of the day, right, we can only rise to the level of our greatest weakness. And remember, my friends, we will always fail to goals, but we will always rise to systems. So let's work on the systems to make us great.
Absolutely. Amen. Pass the potato chips.
Potato chip. That's right.
Potato chip. And you made another really great point that I want to close with, is that imagine if those two business owners got together. I'm such a proponent of collaboration because we can't do it all. We have to have systems. We have to have people. You have to have staffing, which is exactly what you do as well. We can't be excellent at being the CEO, the money manager, the marketer, the closer, the seller, everything. Do what you do great, and then collaborate, bring that team in together. So if those two entrepreneurs had come together, the marketer, the business owner, and the chef came together, they would have been hugely successful. Right. So give us a last tip on how that would work, and then we'll close up.
Well, I think that when you're doing your own assessment, like we're talking about in the business and aggregating marginal gains, I think when you actually pull those things together and you're supremely purposeful about understanding your weaknesses, you've started to effectively create your own roadmap for not only you personally. I mean, everything I teach people in this business realm, I'm also teaching them personally, right? What I'm teaching you about your greatest weakness in your business is probably your greatest weakness in your marriage. It's probably the greatest weakness in your parenting advice. It's probably the greatest weakness in any relationship you have. If you can't communicate with people, it's going to be a problem. It's not only going to be a problem in your business, it's going to be a problem in your marriage. Listen, the worst pitfalls I've ever had in my marriage of 35 years has been me not communicating well, right? It wasn't the money that we didn't have for a while there. It wasn't the dumb decisions I've made. It was me not communicating well with my children, right? So that's the best thing I can give you, man. I want you to look at this wired differently, not only business, spiritually, and personally. We can do it. Thank you. God bless you, Aurea.
Todd, God bless you right back. I'm so glad to have you in my life now. So honored to have you on the show. We've got to really take this message out because you have started such a message and such a mission. So I'm going to chime into you on your Facebook, ToddSaylor.com. I hope you all have enjoyed having Todd here as much as I have. Todd, thank you so much. Go out there and make it a great day so y'all can earn more, live bigger, and give back more. There's people out there that need you all of us, to be the success we can be, so we can help those that don't have the opportunities that we have wherever they may live all around the world. So thank you, Todd, so much. Until next time, I'm going to have you back. I'm just saying. Have a great day. Bye for now.